When we're using sleep in our scripts, we are essentially trying to simulate what is often referred to as think time, or some pauses that a regular user would do when using a web application. So in this case, we have a very simple example. We have 5 virtual users, a very short duration, only one request, and I've also added here a console log statement to demonstrate why this is a problem and how we can fix it. So let's run this once, and I want you to pay attention to the log statements. So we'll see here, view stage shows up, and then there's a pause, and then again, it shows up in 4 statements, and then there's a pause. So what is happening here? Well, we have 5 virtual users. They are all calling this address at the same time in the beginning, and then essentially the website is responding more or less at the same time, and then they're all sleeping for 3 seconds. So 3 seconds, there are no requests that are being sent. And then they again go into the virtual user stage and call this address almost all at the same time. So you can see here how these log statements, they appear all almost at the same time because they are all at the same time in the stage. So what can we do about this? Well, essentially the idea is not to have here a hard-coded number, but to have something random between some reasonable intervals, right? And this totally makes sense because users are not robots. They are not really so predictable, and hard-coding a fixed sleep value is kind of like counterproductive. So how can we use a random value? Well, luckily, there is something that K6 provides out of the box, more or less. It is essentially a JavaScript library that we can import. Now, I'm here at the official documentation for K6, and I'll put a link in the resources folder. Essentially, we can call here a function which is called random int between, and then we can give a minimum and a maximum number. And int simply means integer. It means like 1, 2, 3, 4. We don't get any decimals or something like that. So they're simple integers that we can use. Now, in order to use this random int between, we actually need to import this library. So you'll see here, there's an import statement, which I'm going to grab as well. And I'm going to put it here right below. So in this case, we're importing from our remote address. And then also the sleep is something that we can configure. So I'm going to copy this exactly as it is. And I'm going to replace the sleep here. So now let's also extend a bit the duration to, let's say, 20 seconds. And run this once again and see how this view stage console log statements appear this time. So in the beginning, they appear, but now you will see that they no longer appear one after the other. So there's always a small delay between them. And this is introduced by this randomness. So now we no longer have a block of requests. And this is what this sleep does. It is essentially for each iteration, it is a random number. And you can define how long we want this interval to be, between 1 and 5 in this case. And these values are inclusive. It means that 1 will occur and also 5 will occur. So this is how we can get a random think time in K6.